Hey there, thanks for tuning into Duck Bricks. I'm Chris.
And I'm Rob, and you're watching our latest LEGO Masters build breakdown.
But before we start, let's dive into a recap of what we built this week on LEGO Masters Season 4. In the time before time, the great fire spirit descended on the island, bringing peaceful villagers and tasking them with one important goal: to protect the ancient jungle sanctuary with their lives. And so, when invaders are at our door, we only need to simply pray to the fire god to cast down lava from the great volcano, cascading out of the mouth of the great tribal mask and flowing into corridors on the sides of the castle, flowing out of the mouths of the statues of our fire god to repel any invaders and keep the ancient jungle sanctuary safe. It is time to spark the flame of the heart for the future to start. This is the Jungle Bastion of the Sun, complete with moving fire god statues, massive megaliths of mountains, and the jungle sanctuary to protect with your lives. Okay, so that was our build recap of what we built on LEGO Masters Season 4, Episode 3.
The Jungle Bastion of the Sun.
Now this was a really fun build. Honestly, probably my favorite so far.
I think so too. By like a lot.
By a lot.
Compared to episode 1 and 2.
Yes. Only 2 more hours for this challenge compared to other ones, but I think we were able to really optimize what we built. And also during this challenge, I think we really were able to come into our own as a team of builders to optimize our skill sets.
Yeah, I think like the first 2 builds that we had were kind of messy.
Yeah.
I think that the division of labor wasn't really as clean.
Yeah.
But I think this time, yeah, as you said, we hit our stride. So
yeah.
I think that really brought us to the top.
Yep, really proud of this one, and it probably makes sense just to start from the very beginning, which is to go all the way back to when we were first given the prompt for this challenge, which was to make a volcano. And when I first heard the words volcano, my mind immediately went to one of my favorite classic LEGO themes. It was kind of a jungle island with some robotic villagers on it. And in that LEGO theme, there was a castle that was in a moat of fire in the middle of a volcano. It's like a completely dark stone and gray castle. And I think the initial idea was to kind of just recreate that. But after we discussed it a little bit more, I think we both agreed we wanted to do something, one, a little bit more colorful, and 2, something that was more unique and something that was more our own.
Yeah, exactly. I think, we could have gone in a lot of directions, but when we chose that tropical island, I think both of us were very, very much aligned on building some kind of this big jungle fortress. With this, and I think we just started building pretty much immediately.
Yeah. I mean, I think that one of the things that we were really trying to fit in for the features, which unfortunately we didn't actually get to fit in, was I know that we had this really cool idea to actually have the drawbridge for this kind of castle we were initially thinking surrounded by a moat of lava, and much like how it was in the older retro LEGO theme, the drawbridge would rise up from the lava and actually have like pillars of rock that came up to cross it. And I know we spent at least some time, or maybe I did, thinking of like a cantilever system to have the lava pool in one bucket, push a bucket down to raise the actual pathways. Do you remember why we didn't include that?
Yeah, I remember we were ideating quite a bit on like buckets and lifting things up.
Yeah.
But I think honestly we prioritized the power function of this whole build very last minute.
That is true.
Like, I think we really wanted to build the volcano, we really wanted to build a jungle fortress, and then we were like, let's just like build the bucket stuff and whatever, we'll figure it out later. I don't know why we did that, but we did.
Yeah, I mean, usually we're pretty on it with planning, but I think that, well, I remember why. It was, we had the idea to, if you've seen the episode, when the lava rushes down, our 2 gates open and the statues kind of spring to life and turn to and face the invaders. We always thought that was going to be a pretty easy function to incorporate, I think. So we were like, oh, that's fine. We'll do it later. I recall we allotted like the last hour or 2 hours to just making sure the functions worked, and then getting ahead of ourselves. So we got a little bit nervous. We thought like maybe nothing was gonna move, so we added a flywheel, like a giant sun, which ended up not moving at all. So that we're getting ahead of it. We'll talk about all of that later. But I think we really just wanted to build big, and as we were saying, this I feel really was a chance for us to leverage our skills as builders. Robert is really, really good at just laying brick down and making organic shapes quickly. During our training, which you can watch the video on training for LEGO Masters, we quickly realized that Robert was very good at just using basically standard, literally like bricks, like 2x4 bricks, 2x8 bricks, and making a shape that feels very real and organic. So you basically just built up the entire mountain. I don't think I touched a single brick of the volcano.
Yeah, I think I can lay down brick. You're really good at interesting part usage. And so you spent like all of the time focusing on making that really intricate palace detail at the front. And then I just spent my time and just building the volcano in the back. And I think my priority was scale.
Yeah.
I think that judges really like scale. They like when we build things big. It looks good on TV, obviously. And so my goal was, can we build the biggest volcano in the room and make it just astronomically big?
And by height, I think we did.
I think we did. In fact, I think our final volcano was almost as tall as the central volcano that we got, that was like in the middle of the island. Like
I don't know about that.
I'm pretty sure.
Really? Okay, maybe.
It wasn't as big, but it was close to the point where like when the camera goes in front of it, it blocks out most of it.
Okay. I'll have to rewatch the episode. Yeah. I mean, it was definitely really big. One of the funny moments that happened in the episode actually was we were kind of in a bit of a competition with Sam and Nina. So according to Nina, she walked over and she claims that she told to us that ours was bigger. She said yours is bigger to us. What I heard and what you heard as well is Nina just walked up to us casually, said ours is bigger, as in Sam and Nina's volcano was bigger, and just walked away. And I remember at that point, I was like, bruh, like, make it bigger. And then you just looked at me and you're like, what do you think I'm doing? You looked at me with, like, contempt, and it was like, bro, what do you mean? Obviously. But honestly, thank you. Shout out to Sam and Nina for motivating us to build even bigger than we already... Yeah. Although we probably were gonna go huge anyway, but, like, that was the final straw where it was like, all right, it's over. Like, we're definitely gonna have to be bigger than them.
Look, I mean, Sam and Nina, they already won episodes 1 and 2. We can't let them win episode 3. So the arms race for volcano's size was definitely on.
Yes. Oh, well, the other huge thing about the volcano was that as all the contestants, we didn't really have a good idea in terms of what the volcano might look like the actual lava. We could hypothesize and make theories about what we thought the lava would feel like, but really, we kind of were going into it just being told that there was going to be some sort of eruption, and it was basically as a surprise to all of you, the viewers, as it was to us. And so I remember that, I think somewhat mistakenly, we had made the impression, or at least we were thinking of the volcanic lava as more of a liquid. And I think we were thinking of it as like almost like water, with a more heavy and powerful burst. Because I remember that influenced a lot of our build. And obviously you can see in the episode, there's a moment where we're just standing there waiting for the lava to come out. And the reason for that is because we weren't really sure how much lava was going to come out, and we didn't want it to overflow because our entire story was about how the jungle part was protected. But if the jungle part got overflown by lava, then it's not really that protected.
Yeah.
So we got so paranoid that you actually built a full caldera for the lava to pool into. Mm-hmm. So as it's erupting, it slowly pooled into it before going out of the mouth.
So I think there were like 2 calderas. So one of them was on the top.
Yeah.
So the lava was fed through a pipe up the...
which you can see in the episode.
Which you can see in the episode. And I was worried... Like, I think this was all about risk mitigation, right? Yeah. We don't know what the lava would be like. It could be like a massive gush of liquid. It could be like a slow trickle. We knew that if it was a huge gush of liquid and it came out of the pipe, like, spurting out, like, it would coat the outside of the volcano, flow onto the village, and just, like, ruin the whole point of everything.
Yeah.
And so I made sure that, okay, the volcano would go up to the top of the pipe, but then I built, I think, an additional foot or more higher than the pipe to prevent any spillage over the top. And I remember that like the volcano got so tall that the pipes started getting hard to access. So actually the top part of the volcano is only connected by a couple of jumpers, and
modular building style.
Yeah, literally modular building style. There's some jumpers and some tiles really, and so you can remove the top like foot of the volcano to access the pipe. It was like that tall. And so like, yes, so on top there was a caldera so that the lava would pool up and then flow out of the mouth. And then there was also a secondary caldera under the mouth,
yes,
where the lava can collect and then flow down the paths, because we didn't want the lava to like splash into the village either.
Right. I mean, I remember I was even building splash guards because I didn't know, like, what if they just put like food coloring in water and called it lava?
Yeah.
That would be like a huge gush. So I built splash guards to protect the jungle. We had a lot of thought because I think there were two options. It was either the lava's really like basically like water, in which case we needed to have all these protections to make sure it didn't ruin the story of the lava being expelled outwards to repel the invaders and protect the jungle sanctuary. Or, what you actually saw in the episode, the lava behaves honestly more like real lava and was a pretty slow trickle. And then the worst case is like, all right, we just wait a little bit. Which you saw in the episode, there was like a long moment of waiting and then realization that as we were looking at each other, we were like, oh, this is really slow lava. It's going to be a while before it starts trickling out of the mouth. But we prefer doing that because that way it definitely would work, versus if we didn't have the safeguards and it was like rushing water, then we would kind of be screwed.
Exactly. I think that we tried to build everything around what we think the lava might get. I think we had a general sense of about how much lava we might get. Like, we wouldn't get like a cup. Like, we'd get, it's a volcano, so we're like, okay, like the lava will fill up some certain degree, and then it'll flow out so that we didn't have to like, I think a caldera would have still been nice. I don't think there was really a huge risk of it being like, oh, like it'll never flow at all. It'll just like puddle on top. So yeah, I think erring on the side of caution was better. It just meant that, as you said, we just had to wait a little bit longer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm really proud of what we were able to build, and I mean, this build in particular, I grew up on a lot of classic vintage LEGO themes, and I feel like today I'm into LEGO because of these really iconic story-based action themes that LEGO put out. So being able to do a build that was obviously not just a direct build of anything you can see in that story, but more of a homage towards why I got into LEGO today, that's something that's really special to me, and I saw a lot of love for that from the community, and a lot of people are recognizing like what Easter eggs I was trying to put in. So hopefully you enjoyed this little nod to a lot of people's favorite themes. I think a lot of Duck Bricks viewers as well really love these classic LEGO icons, and that's really something we wanted to build in, but obviously put our own twist on it, because if you look at the actual volcano we built, it's like quite colorful. You've got like a tan structure. You've got the bright red tribal mask on the top of it. There's the whole like black top of the volcano, which that was really smart of you to put in. Was, if you look at the volcano, there's a gradient. It starts off as like light gray, then dark gray, and then I think it's like brown and then black on the top.
I think it's just 4 colors. So it's light gray, and then it fades into dark gray, and then dark gray would fade into black. And then you have an orange.
Oh, the orange on the top to the brick-built lava. Yes, that really sold it as a volcano. And again, that was all Robert. Like, I feel like this episode, I was really honestly blown away by what Robert was able to accomplish basically by himself. Seriously, because like, I would be building, right? And then I would look away and I would look back, and somehow you've like materialized a ladder. Like, I don't even know where you got that from, but he's literally on a ladder building the top of the volcano, and it happened in a blink because you had a lot of time to do other stuff. You built a ton of trees to make it more jungly, which we'll get to that with the feedback from the judges, but you were really on it this episode. Like, oh my goodness, man. Like, you actually cooked.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, building a volcano is pretty, like, systematic once you have, like, a system down. It's just, there's a color gradient, and then there's also a slow gradient of, like, at what angle do you want the thing to be to reach a certain height that you want it to be.
Yeah.
And then once you have that down, it's just a matter of rinse and repeat until you have the height desired.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I don't know. It felt very organic.
it felt cool. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out.
Honestly, if there was one thing that I would change about the model, it's that if you look at it head on, we have this nice system of archways, you know, like the tan archways making up the back of the volcano. But for whatever reason, we made the back wall of the volcano a flat rectangle.
Yes.
Why did we do that? That doesn't look that good.
Time. Like,
oh, I think it was time.
I think, like, what was it? We wanted to, it was really just time. I think that we literally just didn't have enough time to think about, like, what we wanted to put on the back. And so we, like, I think we almost built that, like, either as modularly and then we just slotted it in,
we
or
slotted in at least my architectural detail
Yeah.
of like the archways and stuff. That was slotted in the last like hour.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we literally just didn't have enough time to think about, like, oh, this is just a big tan rectangle at
Yeah.
the back. But then, like, once the build was finished and we stepped back, we're like, oh, that's really blocky.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like out of all the builds we've made so far in LEGO Masters, like, this is the one build that I'm like, I really want to recreate this and build it at home. Like, I would love to have that, like, on my shelf.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's possible. I'm looking into it. I don't use Studio that much. I'm like, and to build something like this, you need to design it digitally and then order all the pieces. But I know that's the one thing I would change, is just color that the same color as the volcano and then just do the same archway, because I think that would have looked a lot better. But overall, I mean, very happy with the build. The one thing that I think we should mention is the judges' feedback. When Amy and Jamie came over, this was probably the first time that they came over and told us something that was in our plan.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you look back at the other two episodes, and of course here are build breakdowns of those that go into more detail, episode 1, they had come over and reminded us that we needed to integrate a party, which we had forgotten. I think we had missed that was a very important part of the pitch, and that was like, oh wow, we need to
that was dumb.
pitch
Yeah.
Party Pagoda. Yeah, dumb on us, like, oh my goodness, I don't know what we were thinking. And then the second episode was, they came and advised us to put platforms because the cat was very active when they came over.
Yeah.
And so that was also kind of out of left field for us. But this time, what did they say when they came over?
This time, I think they were very, very happy with our build. They liked the big volcano. They liked where we're going with the temple, and they were just like, "Oh, you should kind of blend the jungle into the temple more and blend it more into the mountain." I.e., just add more jungle to it.
I think it was add more jungle was the big thing, because they saw a huge, just plain tan castle at that point.
Yeah.
Because the tan, I broke it up with a lot of different bits of like foliage sneaking through. Like I got the flower pieces and stuck them on the sides, and I got like the vines. But when they came over, it was just a tan building, like plain tan, and then like a gray and black volcano, and there was like no jungle. But that was actually in our plan to build a ton of trees and stick them on, which you did. I don't think I built a single tree.
Oh yeah, there was just a tree assembly line. I think at least 20 or 30 trees.
Way more
were built.
than that. It was.
And I think it was just like peppering everything with green and just little overhangs, I guess, on the mountain and into the temple. And so, like, all of that was in our plan. So that was amazing. No last minute changes after the judges came. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, pretty happy with how it went. I think the only disappointing thing for us, function-wise, was we got desperate on the last hour, and we're like, what if our sliding doors don't open? Because if it's too liquidy, it might not have the force to push them open. So we built the little pinwheel in the back, which it's not even, like, you can see it in the episode and whatnot, but the pinwheel obviously doesn't spin. And that was a bit of a disappointment to us.
Yeah.
But the reason for that was because the lava was just, I think, a little different than what we expected.
Yeah, I think we had two, I guess, mechanisms that were like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if the lava kind of made those things moved? And one of them was a pinwheel, and then one of them were, like, at the front, we had the two gates where if the lava were to push open the gates, then you had the two soldiers standing at the ready. And so I think, like, they kind of went towards two scenarios. If the lava was very liquidy, the water wheel would spin. Perhaps there would be some risk that the statues might not.
Yeah.
But then if the lava was a little bit more viscous, maybe the water wheel would have a little bit more trouble spinning, maybe it would miss the water wheel, but then hopefully then the doors would then open.
Which is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And that's why we wanted to put in two different functions, the doors opening and the statues moving, as well as the water wheel, just to make sure we got at least one of them, which was kind of the same logic that we applied to the calderas and the splash guards. It was a bit disappointing because like the mask, the way it works is the mouth of the tribal mask on the top of the mountain, the lava essentially trickled out of it. And what we were thinking is if this is the mouth, it would trickle out and then flow straight down. So we mounted a pinwheel here to spin. But what it did is because it was so viscous and acted kind of sticky and like actual lava, it just went around the lip of the mask. Like you can see in the episode, it almost looks like it's drooling. And it goes down, trickles around, and then just kind of trickles down the back and just missed the pinwheel completely. Yeah. So that was a bit of a miss, but like honestly not entirely unexpected because it just depended on how the lava would work.
Yep.
But yeah, overall, I think very happy with this first build that we had a very focused idea, color scheme. Yeah.
I think, you know, this is a build with a clear story, it's big, it shows some interesting technique, and it has some good colors. And I think those are really the elements that the judges like to see. And I think this was really the first time where we were able to demonstrate that in full force, which I think, you know, both of us are super proud of.
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, that about sums up, I think, everything we have to say about this build. Really fun episode. I remember the energy on set that day, like messing around with Aubrey and Ryan and like just goofing around with Will sacrificing things into the volcano. At one point, I was like, oh, let's sacrifice Robert. Like, there was a whole bit about that. Like, that was a fun episode. Definitely, I think, my favorite to be on set so far, my favorite build so far. So really, really positive thoughts about this one. Yeah, honestly, that's pretty much all I have to say about it.
Yeah, I think, as you said, the quality of the builds in this episode, I think, were just amazing.
My goodness.
I think I mentioned in the episode, like, Ryan and Aubrey's were better. Like,
you literally mentioned in the episode that you thought this was better. Yeah, like, that made it in.
Aesthetically speaking, like, I don't know if, like, they had, like, a beach scene, which was just gorgeous gradient from the sand to the water. And the detailing on the sides of their castle was just so clean and polished. I was like, wow, that looks really good.
Yeah.
So
I loved their build because that build and Poppy and Ben's build felt to me, those two builds felt like, I guess to my brain, like as a lover of vintage Lego, was like an homage to old adventuring Lego themes. And that was like, that really scratched that itch where it's like, oh wow, that's so cool. Like that's like a desert sub-theme set, or like that's like the jungle exploration. And those were just so solid. I mean, everyone, I think, had a really strong showing this episode in particular. Yeah. I mean, even the bottom two were still both really good. Like, I still think, like, everybody did a really good job. And I think this is the episode where people are really starting to show their skill and show what they can do. As we said in the episode itself, we did not know who was going to be top two. We had literally no idea.
No idea. There were, like, 6 teams that could have easily been in the top 2, I feel like. It's like some of those builds that you saw, I feel like could have been Lego sets. They were that polished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I remember I think we thought we were safe. We were pretty sure we were safe, but we were like, when the top 2 was announced, it was a complete surprise. So honored to be second place, which was really exciting. And yeah, I think it's about time we wrap this up. Tune in to LEGO Masters Season 4, Episode 4, coming out soon, this coming Thursday. Very excited for that one. If you can tell by the preview, lots of fun and kooky stuff going on in that episode. And of course, comment down below if you liked the build. Let us know what you thought of the build. Do you agree or disagree with the judging? And what were your favorite parts of our build and everyone else's build? And yeah, stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Thank you. And that sums up this week's LEGO Masters build breakdown. I hope you enjoyed our video.
Be sure to like and subscribe for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming your way very soon. And of course, thank you all so much for watching us on LEGO Masters Season 4. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now. Alright, so that's... Alright, so that sums up what we built on LEGO Masters Season 4, Episode 3.
The Jungle Bastion.
My God!